Hey everyone, today we're going to be running through some test hands for the Orichalcos custom archetype. Here we go. So opening up with Orichalcos Soldier, Stone of the Orichalcos, Atlantis, Terraforming, and Orichalcos Gigas. Once again, I don't know how to say that. Alright, so the best opening typically for this deck is having that Soldier and then being able to activate the Seal of Orichalcos, and that is exactly what we can do. So we'll play Soldier and its effect on summon. On normal summon, we can special summon 2 more of it from our hand and or deck. So we'll grab 2 more. And now we have Stone of the Orichalcos, which can fetch us any of the Orichalcos field spells from our deck or graveyard, and we'll go with level 1. And now we are ready to steal people's souls by activating the Seal, and on activation, the Seal destroys all our special summon monsters, and that includes the 2 soldiers that we just summoned. And why would we want to do that? Well, because when they're destroyed, they each trigger their effects to search us an Orichalcos card from our deck to our hand. We will go ahead and grab Orichalcos Servant and Corrupted Magic. Now, Orichalcos Servant has the ability to special summon itself from our hand if we destroy a card that we control, so we'll destroy that last soldier to special summon it. He comes in at 2300 attack thanks to the boost by the Orichalcos, and then that last soldier triggers its effect to search us 1 more Orichalcos card. I will grab, there are a few things that we can grab here. We could look for some draws with cards of the Orichalcos. We could grab Kutora for some Shunros plays. We could grab Corrupted Humanity to stun our opponent some more with the combination of Humanity and Corrupted Magic. We could grab another stone. So a few different options. What I will probably go with is Corrupted Humanity. I'll explain that here in just a second. So what we could do is we could activate that Terraforming to fetch us out the next level of the Seal. Of course, we can't activate it this turn because the next level has to be activated on the turn after we activate the previous one. And so now we have in our hand Corrupted Magic. We'll set that. Corrupted Humanity will set that, and Atlantis will set that and end our turn. Now on our opponent's turn, here's what we've got going on for us. We have the ability to negate any effects on face-up cards on the field that have an Orichalcos counter on them. And we currently have 3 ways to get Orichalcos counters on the field. One, of course, would trigger in the end phase with Stone of the Orichalcos, where in the end phase of each turn we can place an Orichalcos counter on one of our opponent's face-up cards. The other 2 that we can do more quickly is Servant, who has the quick effect of playing placing an Orichalcos counter on our opponent's cards, and then Corrupted Humanity, which places an Orichalcos counter on all our opponent's cards. So at least during our opponent's turn before the end phase, we have 2 ways to stun them. And then we of course have Atlantis as well. And Atlantis is a great card for the deck because on activation from the field, at least, we can place an Orichalcos counter on it right away. And then every end phase, it gets to place an Orichalcos counter on anywhere on the field. And typically you will want to place it on itself because you can also send it to the graveyard to search out Orichalcos cards from your deck to your hand up to the number of counters that it had on it. So if it makes it to our opponent's end phase, then that'll give us 2 searches, and from there we would go for Kutora, and again, a few different options that we could go with. If we wanted some more stun capability, we could grab another copy of Servant. We could grab another Corrupted Humanity. If we want that Pot of Greed, we could grab cards of the Orichalcos, because once we activate Deuteros, cards of the Orichalcos will fetch us 2 cards. I will probably grab Servant. And I'll explain that here in a second, because on our turn, what we'll want to do is activate the next level of the Seal, and that, since on activation, takes the effects of the original Seal of Orichalcos, will destroy our special summon monsters, so it'll destroy our Servant. But of course, our Servant is helpful to make Corrupted Magic live, and so we have another copy that we can play, so we can keep going in that direction. Kutora can be special summoned by paying 500 life points. Kutora can absorb any battle damage that we take, and if it is sent to the graveyard while we control it, then we can special summon a Shunros from our deck or hand. Now, we could, if our opponent has a big monster on the field, ram it into with Kutora, absorb the battle damage, then Shunros is summoned, and its attack would be equal to the amount of battle damage that Kutora has absorbed. Another way to bring it out was playing it before we played the Deuteros, and then when we activate Deuteros, it would destroy our special summon monsters, which includes Kutora, and that would trigger the ability to summon Shuneros. And the third way we could have done it is by summoning Kutora and then using Servant's ability to destroy to special summon Servant, and then that would allow us to bring out Shuneros as well. And when that is triggered and Shuneros comes out, Shuneros has the effect to special summon Dexia and Aristeros as well, with Aristeros being able to absorb any of our opponent's attacks, and then Dexia being able to attack or related things since it gains attack equal to the attack or defense of the monster it is battling plus 300. So pretty solid opening, some stun capability on our opponent's turn, and then into our second turn we can start bringing out our boss monsters. Let us go again. Alright, so this time we got Kutora, Atlantis, Owner of the Orichalcos, Terraforming, and the Great Leviathan. Alright, so this is a bit of a slower hand. Of course, we'll go ahead and activate those two things to search out, thin out our deck, bring out the first two levels of the seal. If we wanted to, we could trigger Kutora right away, special summon that by paying the 500, then activate the seal, and Kutora would be sent to the graveyard, destroyed since it is a special summon monster. And when that hits the graveyard, we can bring out Shuneros, which brings out Dexia and Aristeros. And then on our next turn, if Orichalcos Shuneros is still around, and it typically does because it is hard to get around with Aristeros absorbing any of the battles, and then Shuneros itself is protected from being targeted by card effects, the next turn we could activate Deuteros, and that would again destroy our special summon monsters. And when Shuneros is destroyed, that brings out Divine Serpent Ge. And then of course we have Atlantis as well to fetch us some searches depending on how long it lasts on the field. Again, typically you'll get 2 counters on it before you use it. Going with Servant and Magic is a good move. Going with Soldier to be able to pair with activating any one of the seals so you can get multiple searches is also a good move. So do a few different ways to go about it. So as you can see, the deck has some pretty decent capabilities as far as searching for cards, as well as being able to control the board with Corrupted Magic, being able to negate our opponent's cards. And then having some decent boss monsters with good protection. Shuneros and Ge are both protected from being targeted by card effects. And actually, if we were to extend this duel even further and use Atlantis to grab the last level of the seal, we could grab that, send Deuteros to the grave to activate Tritos. Ge, even though it's a special summon monster, is unaffected by the effects of the Orichalcos card, so Tritos will now send it to the graveyard. But we do want to banish it face down to special summon the Great Leviathan from our hand, and that on summon banishes all our monsters from our hand, field, and graveyard face down, and it gains 500 attack for each one that we did. And this of course is basically the win condition of the deck. This one's only coming out at 2500 attack and 2500 defense. It gains 500 attack and defense for every monster that was banished face down to summon it. So the only way to really get around it is to attack over it, since it is unaffected by card effects and can't be tributed. But any monster that your opponent summons that isn't a legendary night monster or a divine monster, when on summon, Great Leviathan's effect will be triggered to destroy it. So unless it's impervious to destruction or one of those two kinds of monsters, basically anything your opponent tries to put on the board will get destroyed. And then Tritos also provides protection from our opponent's spell and trap cards that affect monsters that we control, as well as being able to copy the effect of Deuteros, which gives us life points per turn, as well as being able to destroy any monster that our opponent, once per turn, when our opponent declares an attack, we can destroy a monster that we control, and the attacking monster, of course, the Great Leviathan, is impervious to that destruction, so it combos pretty well with that as well. So again, that is the deck. Different ways to go about the duel, whether that be controlling the board with Corrupted Humanity, or running it with the boss monsters such as Shuneros, Divine Serpent, and the Great Leviathan. Hope you enjoyed. You can check out the full showcase of the Orichalcos cards here with this card in the corner. And make sure you like and subscribe as we get into our next side character card coming up tomorrow.